after this. But so backing up, as I said, reverse order. So Crowdhammer, on the eve of this CIA report being released by Dianne Feinstein's Select Senate Committee, Dr. Crowdhammer weighed in, and my headline on IJR this morning, the Post doing well. Crowdhammer asks three questions we'd all like answered about the release of the CIA, and I put it in quotes, terrorist reports. Jessica, play the clip, and then Michael and I come back and talk about that.
This. No. Well, when you hear the president's spokesman say that they know that it could endanger Americans, you ask yourself, why would the president insist on the release of this, knowing that it could lead to the death of Americans serving under him as commander-in-chief, and Americans held hostage, and Americans in positions where they are vulnerable? What exactly is the gain here? Do we not know about this already? Does it have to be done in detail and released now? His own Secretary of State is going around trying to get the timing, he says. In other words, trying to get this withheld because he knows the danger. And it isn't only the direct danger to Americans abroad or being held hostage. The second casualty will be the timidity, as former CIA Director Hayden has said, it will impose on the CIA in the future. Will you ever take a risk in defense of the national security if you think you're going to be hung out to dry later? But most important, I think, is the fact, what intelligence service abroad is going to help us when they are going to be exposed and pilloried around the world? The administration always talks about smart diplomacy. You know, the other guys, Bush and others, use brute force, sort of thoughtless, the use of American power. But they're real smart. They use human intelligence. And we're going to lose all this. We're not going to have any allies in the world. And because we have so little human intelligence as a result of a drone program that kills our enemy and never captures them, nobody has gone to Guantanamo in the 6 years of the Obama administration. We rely on the eyes and ears of other allies. Who are going to help us after this? Nobody.
That's why I love Crowdhammer. What do you think? I think he hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I mean, our allies would have been wise to do whatever they're going to do and send us a over-the-road letter, you know, an old-fashioned letter after the fact. I mean, that if anything, for example, thinking about in the Middle East, if anything, the last 6 years has been a lesson to Benjamin Netanyahu is if they actually decide to go for it against Tehran's nuclear capabilities or anything else, there's one less phone call that they have to make with regard to Obama. That's prior to this.
Yeah, well, it was a couple of years ago, maybe three. There were reports, substantiated, but probably fairly solid, that Israel was, I don't know if imminently is the right word, but was somewhat on the verge of attacking Iran's nuclear sites. And do you remember what happened? The Obama regime broke the story, blew the cover against Israel.
Yeah, and so exactly. I mean, the one thing you do not want to be in today's fake, crazy world, and that is a close ally of the United States. That's prior to this thing being released. And Crowdhammer's exactly right. I mean, what this would be is this would be another item in support of we can't trust the United States.
There's no doubt about it. And while some of those on our side make the argument, and I wrote about this in the Post, that this will only serve to further inflame the Islamist extremists. I have a slightly different view. Listen, these people, if we can call them people, they already hate America, everything it stands for. They don't need a further excuse to attack the U.S. or at interest behead hostages. Now, there's no question. We'll probably see it on the news tonight or tomorrow. They're going to feign outrage and indignation and use it as a propaganda rallying cry. But they got to be laughing to themselves that we're this idiotic to suggest that Somehow, waterboarding is the moral equivalency of sawing off an innocent human being's head with a dull knife. They got to be laughing their asses off.
Oh, and the idea that there are some Americans who would have resisted this, even our enemies, thinking about conservatives that are rightly up in arms about the release of this information, even our enemies are laughing, going, "Yeah, I mean." To a certain extent, the old rule of if your enemy is shooting himself in the foot, go ahead and let him. That's exactly what's happening here.
There's no question. And, I conclude in this article, this post, with just think about this. A couple of quick points. If you're an American interrogator in the field in the future, and you're thinking about, I don't mean literally torturing someone, you're just thinking about some interrogation techniques. Are you not going to be looking over your shoulder thinking, dude, if I do this, this crap might likely show up in some future uh, report? And then, secondly, think about a captured ISIS guy, a captured Al Qaeda guy. No more Gitmo. They've got you somewhere in the Mid East. Um, and they come in the room to interrogate you. You know, because you've been fed the information from above, that they're not going to do anything to you, like the good old days, if you will. What? Why would you not refuse to answer questions and just keep your mouth shut?
That why question bespeaks to your lack of understanding of where we are as a world today, Mike. I mean, the only response I can have to this is one of sarcasm and cynicism. I mean, I appreciate the fact that Chuck Krauthammer is attacking it directly head on, because it's so significant. Um, this is not a an intercollegiate dodgeball game after a beer infused frat party that we're dealing with here. I mean, this is literal life and death stuff about people that are not only wanting to kill us, they are. And they're killing us in ways that, normal people shudder to consider. And we're going about, imagining it's allocation of Valentine's Day gifts at a preschool.
Oh, exactly. And listen, had this happened following Obama's, again, pathetically naive statements that Al Qaeda's on the run, Al Qaeda's decimated, the war on terror is over. Let's assume, during that post ridiculousness pause, that then they announced it. Many of us would still be opposed for all the reasons we've talked about. But you just think of the timing now. I mean, ever growing ISIS capturing, beheading Americans as we speak. I mean, could the timing of this thing be, timing of the release be any more irresponsible as it relates to the security of Americans around the world?
Well, only if you care about the security of Americans around the world.
There we go. Okay,
Again,
dude, look,
I'm sorry. I can't help but answer sarcastically.
it's almost like you can't take it seriously. I mean, it's serious, but the ridiculousness of it is, yeah. Hey, listen, we got like 6 minutes left. I don't know if we got time to pivot to something, but anyway, you can play pick 'em on something we can talk about differently.
Yeah, this is fun. Our president is, I mean, we're talking about him in terms of his leadership. He just cleaned the clocks in a little not well mentioned contest. We just got information that happened in Australia, and our president has not only come out on top, Mike, but he came out on top in a stunning manner.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't hear about this?
No, but I'm on the edge of my seat, dude.
Okay, well, there was a competition, and it turns out that British Prime Minister Cameron only got half the marks that Obama did. Vladimir Putin got 74%. The Australian PM literally was only 22% as successful as Obama. The only one that got even close was the Chinese president. He was able to achieve about 3/4 of the record that our president got. And what that is at the G20 summit down in Brisbane, Australia, there was a bill for one night stay for the president. Right? Remember, he went down there. I think I did an article about it. That was the one where everybody
did. Oh yeah, yeah.
Everybody agreed to keep global warming off the table as a discussion item, and that was the center topic of our president's stunning speech. The president's suite, his cost for his particular room was a tad over $2,000, and all those other records, those other numbers that I was making reference to, were the other world leaders who were there. The Chinese guy got by in a room that cost him $172.
Wow.
Our guy's room was $2,135.
That amazing. Hey, real quick, you mentioned his global warming thing, pretend global warming thing. The Prime Minister of Australia's name escapes me, but Barack Obama showed how petty. Yes, showed how petty, how thin-skinned, how that he is. He knew Abbott's position, and he purposely put it in to like stick it in his ribs. I mean, how non-professional, if you will, can you be?
He's a petty, disgusting man. I'm going to play just a couple of quick questions for you here. Let's see how you do with this, Mike. The president, literally, he stayed one night at the Marriott in Brisbane. Okay. So that was the $2,135. How many rooms do you think the presidential delegation needed? How many room nights? So that's in advance of the trip, subsequent to the trip. So the president's there one night. There's a certain number of people that have to be there ahead of time. There's a certain number of people that have to be there while he's there, plus after. How many room nights do you think the U.S. government purchased for the president's one night in a hotel room?
And of course, part of the room night calculation, the number of people in the various numbers of rooms, right?
Right.
Let's just play along and let's say 100.
No, 4,096 rooms. Okay. Now, secondly, how much money do you think we spent in support? Now, again, $2,135 for his room.
Right.
Okay. But we had another 4,096 room nights that were purchased. Plus, we also had the entire floor that he was on. That entire floor was completely stripped to the walls and searched and re-put back together to make sure there were no listening devices or anything. Again, so the president can spend one night in a room. How much money do you think the total bill was, Mike, for that one night where all the rooms and all the prep and all the other stuff?
Oh, heck, again, let's just play along and say 4,000, 250, 100 grand. Let's throw in an extra 25, 125,000.
$1.7 million.
I mean,
the president spent one night at the Marriott in Brisbane to give a speech. And in support of that, over 4,000 room nights were needed and over $1.7 million spent.
Dude, did Mooch go along?
No, she did not. It was just him.
See, because that would have kicked it up to like maybe 6-7 million.
Yeah, I just see that, and it's just, I mean, think about the guy. Even let's see here, Cameron. He was in a room that was $800 a night. The Australian Prime Minister, it's his own country. His room was $250, but I just love this. Shinzo Abe, $172 tab. That was it.
Yeah.
All right, you finish this up, brother.
Listen, maybe they just know how to. Yeah. Anyway, this has been the Right Mike Show with Mike Miller and Michael Hausum. Dude, it's been a really fun show, and you people come back tomorrow because it'll be just as much fun, right, Michael?
Oh, it'll be probably more.
Kurt Schlichter was fun.
Yeah, he's a good man.
All right, so we got what? We hit one more story. We've got 10 more on deck, and then I'm sure we'll come up with another 10 or 12 before tomorrow. So again, we'll see you, and we will triage and pick. Thanks for joining us, you guys.
show is produced by IJReview.com.